Hi guys, in this video I am going to talk to you about how to use the graphics calculator to solve trigonometric equation questions or ones that involve periodic functions, some kind of application. Alright, so this is the problem I'm going to solve. So John has a trailer, he's a fisherman. This equation here gives us the height of the tide, h is in meters and t is the number of hours after midnight. We want to know what is the height of high tide and when does it occur in the first 24 hours. We want to know what the difference is between the height of high tide and low tide. We're going to sketch the graph. Well, I'm going to do this in a slightly different order using the calculator. I'm going to do that first. And then John, this is the important question, knows that his trailer needs to be a depth of 6 meters to enter the harbour. Between what hours is he able to bring his boat back into the harbour? So I'm going to load the calculator. Right guys, so this is the calculator. Now the first thing you need to know about your calculator is what mode it's in. So if I go into run matrix, I need to look at the top. Now I can see I'm in radians here. That's really important. I'm not going to use run matrix to solve this. I'm going to actually use the graph package. So I need to go down to the graph menu. Now whatever equation is in there you'll need to delete by pressing F2. Now fortunately I've already entered the equation that I want to solve. So I'm going to try and look at some problems that you may have when drawing this. So I might just purposely change this so that it's going to mess up. So look, when I go to draw this, so let me just exit this. If I go to draw, I've got a periodic function. However, it's not showing me the correct x and y axis to do with the problem. Remember, this is a problem where we're dealing with hours after midnight, so I'm going to change the scale. You may not have a curved line there, you might have a straight line, in which case there could be some problems. When you go to V window, there's this trig. You can automatically set it to trig, and what that's done is it's converted it into radians for me. Now I'm going to change these values because I want to go in x from 0 to 24 because my time is along the x-axis. My y minimum, oops, I wasn't finished with that, apologies. My y minimum is going to be at 0, even though I've done this problem, I know the minimum tide is 3 meters, but let's go from 0, and I need to go up to say 8. Now you may well need to play around with these parameters to get your graph looking perfect, depending on what the function is. Next, I'm going to draw this. So when I draw it, I have the problem modelled as a graph. So the first question was, what is the height of high tide? So in order to solve this, we're going to use gsolve. F5 is a really good function. We use that a lot in maths. So if we go to gsolve, we can see that F2 is the maximum. That means it's going to tell me where the maximum value is of this function. So if I press that, a purple cross appears. It's chosen this one. It hasn't chosen this one here, but in fact a maximum is occurring there and here and here. We can see on the bottom that when x is 12, remember x is time, so when time is 12 hours after midnight, so that's 12 p.m., the height of the tide is 7 meters. So we can see that it occurs at 12 o'clock. Now let's look at when it happened prior to that. So what I need to do is probably change my scale. Can I click to the right? No, it's not allowing me. Now if you have problems like I'm having now, go to your V window and just alter it. So I'm just going to go from -1 to 25. Now when I go to draw that again, when I go to gsolve and maximum, it's going to give me this one up here as the first one. So max, there we go. So I've got that one. So it's occurring, it's actually, look at the value, it's actually not agreeing with me that time is t equals 0, but it is time t equals 0. If you look at that number, it's a very, very small number. Move along, we've got t equals 12 hours, and move along and we've got 24 hours. Okay, so that's part A done. Now let's have a look at the difference between high and low tide. Well, we know the maximum is occurring at 7 meters, so using gsolve again, let's go for the minimum. It tells me the minimum is when y, or h in this case, is 3. So the difference between 3 and 7 tells us that there's a 4 meter difference between high and low tide. The last one was, well, John can only bring his boat in when the tide is above 6 meters or above. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to enter another function in here. I'm going to enter when y equals 6. So that's going to be a horizontal straight line across the graph in red, as you can see there. Now that then tells me where the height of the tide is 6 meters. So to find out where those points are, I need to look for intersect. the intersection between those two lines. So if I press F5 again, that's my G solve, and I click F5 again, that will show me the purple cross at where they intersect. They intersect at when time t equals 2. Use the cursor to get the next one. There is a short delay. When time is 10, move along again when time is 14, as you can see here, and move along again using the cursor and time is 22. Now what you need to then do is interpret those responses to say, okay, John can bring his trawler in between midnight and 2 a.m. Let's go back to this one. Hang on. John can also bring his trawler in between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and then John can also bring his trailer in from 10 p.m. at night till 2 a.m. the next day.